Now it's time for us to look at our first discussion on the program this morning, talking about insecurity and the way forward. Now, in 2019, the 33% of Nigerians who came in contact with the Nigerian police force paid a bribe, and they did it an average of 4 times. As a whole, the police officers are part of the economy too, so the money paid to them is not lost. However, it is a misallocation of resources. The economy will be better off if consumers can spend the billions of naira on items they wish to buy instead of giving it to police officers. It's like paying a tax with nothing substantial in return. The question now is if the increase in the welfare of the Nigerian police force will stop them from collecting bribe from the general public. A retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, Wosun Inelogulu, he's going to join us later on the program. And we also have a security consultant, Stephen Okori, who will also be joining the conversation this morning. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Initially, before we started the program, we were just having a brief chat, and you were talking to us about the situation in the country. Could you share your view on what's happening? Is Nigeria in chaos right now?
It's a very pathetic situation that we're in right now. Nigeria, for me, I think is in coma. Well, it's not dead yet, but it's on life support, if you ask me, because there are a lot of challenges that we are facing, and we're not seeing any solution in sight. Considering the fuel situation, this is the 8th week, and there's no solution. I think that we lack a crisis management plan in this country, because if certain challenges occur or they start, I expect that in 1-2 weeks or so, we should sort out issues. But here we are. It's increasing. Everything is just happening to this country. I think we have missed certain things when we want to talk about leadership in this country. There's something that we are missing.
Well, I really do hope that turns out better. Now let's talk about the front burner, the issue on the front burner. A lot of people have said that the insecurity situation we are facing, in the country is as a result of lack of proper welfare, for our security operatives. Are you of that opinion as well?
Yeah, I want to say is a contributory factor, because Nigeria as a government, through the Nigerian police force, they need to really work on the dignity and well-being of their personnel. Is a factor that will enable or ensure that the personnel, they succeed in trying to prevent crime, and as they are commanded, why they are supposed to be doing what they are doing. In the event where they are not motivated, by giving them a better welfare package, you don't expect results from them, because these gentlemen, officers and men, they are in the forefront trying to see how to protect citizens of this country. So there's need for us to see how to give them better welfare beyond what we are seeing today.
Okay.
We have seen in this country where police officers protested for lack of payment of their duty toll allowance. Then in Maiduguri some couple of years ago, so such events shouldn't even occur at all. Very recently I saw the current IGP saying certain things, how he has made effort to see how their welfare has improved upon and all that. These are issues that we're not supposed to be talking about now, because the insecurity situations are alarming, they are increasing every day, so they need to be motivated, by giving them proper welfare package.
Okay. Now, when you talk to 1,001 Nigerians,
yes,
particularly motorists, you hear the harrowing encounter with police officers, where they ask for pennies. Some demand, some feel it's a right that you have to give something. For instance, when you're traveling to other parts of the country, for instance, I saw a situation where there's a basket,
yes,
where before you pass through that route, you have to drop something inside of it.
Yes.
So if we're talking about intrinsic values, the police are supposed to be watch out for internal security and all of that. Should that be something to gauge, whether they should be on the lookout for the people or, collect bribe on the other hand?
You see, collecting bribe or monies on the road by police officers, it has become an endemic thing. It is now part and parcel of them. You see, each IGP that assumes office usually condemns acts like that. But I feel that those condemnations by the IGs, it falls on deaf ears because they don't respect those instructions that they should not collect monies on the highway. It has become a normal practice for them. So I think that the police system should be in place, a department for disciplinary actions that will be melted on police officers when they are on the road collecting such monies from motorists and all that. But I don't see where they are penalized for carrying out such act on the highway. And you see, when they are posted on, or deployed to the highways, their first priority is to see how to make money or collect money from motorists, leaving their professional assignment or reasons why they've been deployed on the road. So most times you see them carried away, hanging their guns as if the guns are handbags, you know. The way you see them hanging it, as if they are handbags. Their interest is to see how to extort motorists by collecting monies from them. So I think that the government, through the police, should look at these issues and see how to, because it gives them the image that it portrays is very, very bad, you know, because even when foreigners even visit this country and all that, they see all these things on the road, you know, happening to people, which is absolutely not correct. It's very unprofessional of them, but I think that is a tall order to try to see how to stop it, because it has eaten deep into the system.
Okay. Now, so how can the government intervene, you know, in this regard? What is the way forward?
It's by penalizing them. Penalty should be melted on them. It's either you are suspended or you are sacked, or they should look out for. But penalty, I think, is the best ways to see how to deter them from going into such act on the highway. But we have these stories or rumor that these monies that they collect trickles down from the point that they collect it, it goes to certain quotas and all that. Right. So such a line or chain should be investigated if it's actually correct or not. You know, so they should be penalized for involving themselves in acts like that. But in this country, are they penalized? The answer is no. You know, very recently I saw on a video on the social media where a soldier was crying, where a senior officer saw him collecting monies from motorists and all that. You know, so we should expect things like that. They should be penalized for carrying out such acts, but we're not even saying that. So for me, the best way to see how to go about it is for them to be penalized. Anybody that is caught should be penalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you know, there's a report, you know, I saw by SB Morgan Intelligence that says Nigeria has lost no fewer than 964 security agents, including 322 policemen and 642 soldiers in attacks with insurgents and bandits within the last 1 year.
Yes.
You know, from these statistics, it shows that we are short, you know, on security, on security agents, and it's a problem for us, isn't it?
It is. It is a problem. When we begin to lose officers and men that are in the battlefield, as a result of these challenges we are talking about, it goes to show that even we that are the ordinary civilians are not even safe at all, you know. So the government, for me, I think that they really need to see how to provide the necessary hardware gadgets for these security agencies and the agents that we have, for them to be able to protect themselves. You know, I've said it times without number in occasions like this where the government needs to do what they need to do. You know, there are certain things that we are not meeting up in terms of international best practices, what is obtainable outside here, you know. So certain things need to come on board. If we really need help, there's nothing wrong with inviting the West to come and see how to help us in fighting these challenges we're talking about, because we are losing officers and men, you know, and we are crying of inadequate number, you know, to police us, you know, or to protect us. The numbers are not enough, and we are losing this very huge number, you know. So there's need for us to see how to sit up and do the needful by protecting the people that are protecting us, you know. So the government needs to provide. And each time we hear the government say they are providing, they are providing. And each time we hear these heads of the police and the other security agencies complaining of lack of funds, you know, that they are underfunded, what they need to do, they are not able to do because of lack of funds, you know. So I think the executive and the security agencies, there's need for them to see how to really work together and provide what they need to fight the battle.
You know, another issue, you know, closely related to this is the welfare, you know, of families of slain police or security, you know, agents. We have seen horrifying stories where, you know, some of their families come out, you know, and say after their awards have passed away, there's been no...
They're abandoned.
Nobody has reached out to them and all of that. Should there be like a form of package, you know, for these families, or what should be, you know, the...
Yes, absolutely. There should be a form of package. We hear of police pension and all that. I think that these policies or programs should not just end on the paper, you know. We should see it playing out, real playing out. But that's not what we're seeing. We have seen situations where they are even ordered to vacate barracks when they are what do you call it? They are breadwinners passed on in the line of duty, you know. So the government, through the security agencies, needs to provide what it takes for the families of slain officers and men that have died in the line of duty, because they died serving the nation, you know. So their loved ones should not be left, you know, unattended to. You know, they should try and see how to provide what they really need as a package for them, not to feel the loss of their breadwinner, you know, at the end of the day. So I think it's a good idea for the government to see how to. But you see, most of these things, even if they do, it ends on the paper. We don't see it playing out, you know. So I think that a monitoring system should be on board, you know, to see how these things, packages are actually delivered to families of officers and men that have lost in the battlefield.
You know, there have been, you know, news or reports, I would say rather, that Nigerians are not patriotic, but we are not patriotic anymore. Even our security operatives are not patriotic.
Yes.
Could this be the reason why? Because you think even if they put their lives on the line, nothing will be done, you know, to their families.
Exactly. These are the issues. You know, they feel that because they have seen from practical reasons why they shouldn't even put their lives on the line, because even their colleagues that have lost their lives, even they don't see the government doing anything in favor to their families, you know. So, excuse me, when issues like that happen and they don't see where government responds to the slain families, you know, they will not want to put their life on the line, you know. So they will try to see how to cut corners to see that they are not either killed or end up being disabled at the end of the day. So for the fear of government not taking care of their families at the end of the day, they will want to stake out their life for the country and the protection of citizens.
Really very interesting. You know, there's a story on the Daily Trust newspaper that says for highest ex-servicemen as bandits displace over 700,000 persons.
Yes.
Ex-servicemen, will there be any impact?
Yes. You know, I am an advocate of community-based policing. You know, I've said it times without number that there is need for the Vigilante Group to be on board to see how to contribute or complement the efforts of the regular security agencies that we have. And I've said it before that there is need for ex-servicemen that have retired, left the city and retired to their communities or villages, you know. They have experience, whether we like it or not. So by the time they add up the experience that they have with the support of other able-bodied youths that they have in their various communities, it will go a long way in trying to see how to reduce or mitigate these insecurity issues that we're having. I've said it before. I did an article where I suggested that ex-servicemen can also play a key role based on their experience. Most times they just end up becoming farmers, in their villages. So by the time you bring them on board to support the efforts of vigilante, by involving them in the activities of vigilante, it will go a long way to see how to bring results. So it's a noble idea for Zamfara government to think of this by bringing ex-servicemen on board to see how to police their communities. So I love what they have done.
You have always advocated, for community policing and also, vigilante groups.
Yes.
But we've seen also instances where vigilante groups became a menace,
Yes.
like the Ensaka in Katsina that were dissolved, recently. I think it's one thing to have them, and it's another problem that people are concerned about is keeping them in check.
Yes.
How can we do that to have them effectively?
Okay, thank you. In every system or institution that we have in this country, there are bad eggs. Even in the police, there are bad eggs. In the military, there are also bad eggs. Even in the traditional institutions, we have bad eggs. So it is no news for us to have bad eggs in the vigilante. The most important thing is to see how to put an eye on them, to see how to check them. How do you do that? Number one, I think that in recruiting members of the vigilante, there are critical stakeholders that are in the various communities that we have. Traditional rulers, heads of faith-based organizations or institutions, either the pastor or imams and all that. You have non-governmental organizations within these communities that we're talking about. You have market women, they are in groups. These are major stakeholders that form part of community policing. Now, when you want to recruit, we have people in these communities that don't have questionable character.
All right.
You do proper background check on them. Once you do that, you can form them into groups and begin to see how to supervise or coordinate their activities. Who does that? The traditional rulers and these stakeholders that we are talking about. In the event where they are found wanting in the course of their duties, of policing their communities, who do you hold responsible? You go back to these stakeholders that formed themselves or put themselves together to recruit or to select them. You understand? So when we do proper check, due diligence in recruiting these members of the vigilante group, I think it will go a long way to see how to help the situation. So it's not a situation or a period where you just begin to harness or just pick people randomly from nowhere. We have people that have proper upbringing, that they don't have any issues in terms of their behavior, In the event that, they misuse the opportunities that they are assigned to them to do, you hold these people responsible. I think by doing that, we'll go a long way to check the activities of members of the vigilante. And the vigilante, of course, that it will be under the supervision of the Nigerian police. Right. So with that, we can get result. It is not, I think that they have more advantageous roles to play, rather than looking at the menace or whatever they have tried to see how to constitute in the country. Like if you look at the activities of the civilian JTF in the Northeast, they are doing well. The military keeps commending them for aiding them, for supporting them, for complementing their efforts by trying to let them know that these are informants or locations of Boko Haram and ISWAP members, And in other communities too, we have seen where vigilante rescued police officers that were kidnapped somewhere in the River State,
Right.
So they have duties that they are performing, and for me, they are good enough to see how to complement the efforts of the police by making that the community policing initiative works well.
So now, as a security consultant, would you say, Nigeria's insecurity situation is on the decline? Because just yesterday we saw, gunmen attack a police station in Imo State, and we're also seeing other pockets of attacks in other parts of the country. Would you say it's toning down, or we're not making headway at all?
I don't think it's toning down, because every day we get reports that there's either an attack somewhere. Every day attacks must happen. They must occur. So for me, it is not in a decline at all. It is increasing. So it's for the security agencies to try to see how to rise to the occasion. You see, there's a lot that they need to do. Information gathering, they should try and see how to work in synergy with members of the communities that they are policing, because the police must collaborate with members of the community for them to work effectively. They need information from the members of the community, and it's left for us that are members of the community to imbibe that security culture of see something, say something. You don't just see and keep quiet. When you see something that you are not sure of, there's nothing wrong with reporting to the police. So why I talk about vigilante now, for instance, if certain communities don't have presence of the formal security agencies, who do they need to report to? They need to report to the vigilante. Once they do that, vigilante can see how to address the situation. And if it's beyond them, they can now transfer the situation or invite the police to come, So it is not possible for us to have presence of the conventional security agencies in this country, in all communities. It is not possible. But it is possible for us to have the presence of vigilante. You understand? So by the time we synergize with the police or the other relevant security agencies, we will get results.
There's a report I saw, by the UN. It said Nigeria cannot win the war,
yes,
with insurgents on the battlefield because it is not employing the right approach, to tackling the insecurity situation in the country. Are you of that opinion as well? Is our approach not what we are supposed to be exploring at this time? What are we doing wrong?
You see, the war in the Northeast, it's something that we are not familiar with. It's the warfare that the opponents are not known.
Right.
They interact, they mix up with the normal citizens that are going about their lawful businesses. So it's difficult for us to begin to see how to differentiate who is Boko Haram, who is not Boko Haram, and all that. But the fact is, the government, through the security agencies, are applying both kinetic and non-kinetic approach to it. Kinetic approach is use of force. Non-kinetic is using other means like dialogue, discussions, and try to see how to provide basic amenities within communities that are in this war that we're talking about. So it depends on how the UN, the team that have assessed the government or the activities of our security agencies by coming to that conclusion and saying that it's difficult for us to win the war. But for me, I think that we are applying the necessary methods and all that. But if it's difficult for us going forward, there's nothing wrong with trying to see how to call for assistance or help. We have seen where in Pakistan, where terrorist attacks are going down, how are they doing it? Which methods, which approaches are they using? There's nothing wrong with us collaborating with the Pakistanis, the defense agency, to see how to make our own work as well. In Afghanistan, it is also going down. What are they doing? We should try how to discuss and see how to apply the methods that they are using as well.
Right.
Yeah.